Okay, good evening, everyone. How are you this evening? I'm Richard Stevenson, your Gat Area leader, and we're going to get started on time. Our goal tonight is to spend a couple of minutes talking about a little bit of administrative details, and then to discuss communications tools. So first off, Eric, can you give me some slides?
On it. Do you want me to go ahead and mute everybody?
Yes, please.
All right. That actually muted you too, Richard. There you go. Okay, pulling up the slides.
Got it figured out. And can we see some slides? There we go, somewhere here. There we go. Good evening, all. I'm once again Lion Richard Stevenson, Gat Area Leader for 1H, and we're having our monthly meeting here tonight. We've got a brief agenda. We could go to the next slide. Eric. Well, I can see it, I can read it. So the first thing we're going to do is talk about the 2023 goals. I've sent every district governor an email out reminding them that we have until 12/31 to update your goals. And I also sent a chart on the goals for you all to look at. So please take some time. If you need help on getting the password to do that, let me know. I've got them all and I can give them to you. The next item is the $500 for the write-up. And that's $500. I hope we don't leave that sitting on the table. My district governor reminded me that I was in special projects, and this was under the heading of special projects, so he had me do it. It took me about an hour, and we've already gotten our check, I believe. So this is a good program. Spend a little time on it. I will send it out on the email tomorrow with you so you can see how it works. Next slide, please, Eric. And there we go. Here we are year to date. And I just wanted you to see we're all either positive or very, very close to positive. And our goal for the year of 267 new lions or incrementally more lions, we're awful close, but we've got December coming up. So we have to really keep our eye on the ball and be out recruiting in order to get us to our goal for the year. So that takes us through our administrative tasks. I'd like to now start out by saying we're going to talk about communications. And the subject came up as a result of a number of different issues of, first of all, past International President Douglas Alexander reminding us to communicate, communicate, communicate. And all of us saying, okay, how do we get the message out to our clubs? How do we get the GMA for clubs out to our clubs? How do we get training out? How do we get feedback? So we broke it out into 4 pieces, and we're going to have 4 speakers tonight. The first one is Eric Tweedy from Eric. I'm going to let you introduce yourself. And he's
Thank you.
You go for it.
Thank you, Richard. Apologies, my Zoom seems to be a little choppy tonight. So if you can't hear me or see something, just give me a shout out, and I am more than happy to share my PowerPoint to anyone who wants it afterwards. All right, can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
All right, and you're seeing this in full presentation mode. Okay, so yes, good evening. My name is Eric Tweedy, and I will show you some simple and easy things you can do to make your digital life a little less chaotic. We will be covering how to obtain an essential email list using my LCI. Do you have email fatigue? I can help you with that. There are some do's and don'ts with sending an email. I'll give you some pointers. Stop writing email addresses and contacts on a napkin or on a piece of paper. I'll show you what I use to organize simple but effective email campaigns. And last but not least, we will discuss when and not to use CC, BC, C, and the dreaded reply all. Using my LCI to generate a custom email list. So first off, what do you do? Where do you go to do this? Just Google it, my LCI. When you Google it, you're going to get a lot of results, but you'll need to find the one that says mylci.lionsclubs.org. So for this presentation, I'm going to assume you probably already have an account set up. If you don't, and I would be happy to help you set one up at a later date. Once you enter your account information, navigate to select another title. I recommend using the highest title available to you in the dropdown. I think most of you are at the district and multi-district level, if not higher. So for this demo, I'll select my district because that's the highest I have, and then select data download. Data download. This looks cumbersome, but it's not. So since we're focusing on email, I will only select the pertinent information for this demo. For example, I've got club name, first name, last name, and obviously email address. You have to select the prompt below before downloading. By downloading all this information, I agree, yada, yada, yada. So typically, after you select that and hit view print, the download will appear in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. Go ahead and open it. And then here's your golden list. Obviously, this is a demo. I put in a club name. I put in sample John Doe at email.com. I would recommend using a data sort. This way you can sort by email address, alpha, or your last name, or even your club name. This will give you your golden basic email list. So now that we have the data and we are sending lots of emails, what do we do when we receive lots of emails? We're going to take control of your inbox. So let's get organized. Every email needs a place to live. Folders. Drag and drop emails into the appropriate folder. These are just a few example of folder names, but pick and choose whatever names are intuitive for you. If an email is time sensitive or urgent, mark it that way. If you can't use a flag, use a color that stands out. It's okay to unsubscribe. I do it almost daily. Unwanted ads and newsletters you never asked for can clutter up your email in a hurry. If you can't decide on what to keep and what to delete, move the email into the archive folder. Set a reminder for next year. If you haven't dug into the archive folder, you can probably delete the email. When and how, some strategies and techniques for sending emails. Our attention spans are getting shorter and shorter. People are busier than ever. So if you send me an email, it needs to be impactful and to the point. Subject line needs to drive home what the email is about. Simple and to the point. You will need to deliver your meaning in the email in the beginning. Many of us read emails on a cell phone. If we have to scroll a lot, we tend not to read the entire email. Do not be vague. Specify the who, what, where, when, and why. Is this email needing attention now or later? Business mail etiquette says you may not get a response from someone until 24 hours later. If something is so urgent that you cannot wait, you may need to call them. You know the saying, communication, communication, communication. Well, I'm saying proofread, proofread, proofread. Are the dates correct? Did you spell everyone's name correctly? Are you emailing the right person? Slow down and proofread. It is well worth it. Some marketing software. No more hubbub with HubSpot. Well, first off, I'm not an employee of HubSpot, nor do I get any kickback for recommending their product, but I've used HubSpot for years and it works. And they have a free version. Here are some of the free features that I love. For example, you can send 1,000 emails a month and see who opened them and clicked on links within your email. I use HubSpot for sending newsletters. HubSpot allows me to see who is reading my newsletters and who wants to opt out, how many were labeled as spam, how many were opened, and who my top engagers are. There are other free features too, and if you're interested in setting up a free account, I would be happy to help you. Red alert, conditioned red. Should I CC or BC or reply all? I strongly encourage you not to reply all. This annoys and confuses people. Only use reply all if you deem your message so necessary and crucial that the entire world needs to read it. And even then, I bet you can get away with emailing 2 to 4 people instead of a reply all. I will be so bold to say that if you receive a message with 20 plus people in the to field, the email sender did not send the email properly. Let me explain. First, let's talk CC, or some people call it a courtesy copy or carbon copy. Do CC someone in when you are sending a message to someone else. You're allowing the people in the CC line to be kept in the loop, and you are letting the person you emailed it know who else is up to speed. CC if you're doing a job on behalf of someone else so they can see the job's progress. Do not CC someone if you are expecting them to respond. If you need a response from someone, they need to be in the to field. Blind carbon copy sends emails to multiple people without them knowing who else is receiving the email. Any emails in the BCC field will be invisible to everyone else in the to and CC fields. If you are sending out a newsletter to multiple people, I recommend use BCC. If you're sending an email out to your area, use BCC. Why? If the person on the other end isn't as savvy with email as you are, they don't have the option to reply all and annoy you and others. I hope I was able to serve as a guide on the basics of email. Please feel free to reach out to me about HubSpot, about further email questions, or anything I can be of assistance. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. A couple of comments I'd like to make. One is that the solid gold email list is the thing we're all looking for, and your district administrator and your club secretaries should probably be updating or going out to all the members in the clubs on a quarterly basis to make sure that all updates are in. Your district admin can assist the district governor in making sure that emails that come bouncing back that are no longer good, they can track them down and update them. Maintaining the MyLCI database is extremely important. It's where we find everyone in the district and where LCI also finds them. So that's extremely important. Another thing is we've been seeing, the reason why we came up with this today is we've been seeing a number of emails coming out that are going to a whole bunch of different people and they're not going to the people who necessarily they should be going to. So if you'd like some help on data download, you want to send it to every president of the district, every secretary, every marketing chair, everyone under the age of 40, everyone who was an accountant in a former life. You can do that with data download. You can contact me. I'm happy to show you how to do it. I'm happy to help you with it as you're building your teams for the GMA and you want younger people, for example, or you want people who are accountants. This is a good way to do this. So please reach out to me and I'm happy to talk to anyone about it at any time. So next coming up, we have the newsletter. And some people think of the newsletter as something that's very complicated. And we have in our Gat area more than one district who's doing a wonderful job for free in getting the district message out to members on, let's say, a monthly basis and getting everyone plugged in. Newsletters are a one-way vehicle. Emails are a two-way vehicle, but newsletters are a one-way vehicle. And we have 39W District Governor Betty and her newsletter team to talk to us about how they do this great newsletter every month for free. Take it away, Lion Betty. You'll have to unmute, Lion Betty.
There. Okay, tonight I'm going to speak to you about district governor tasks related to the newsletter. And just an FYI, Lyons District 39W is southwestern Idaho, eastern Oregon. Number one, do your homework. Search for potential newsletter chairs. You notice I said plural because new this year for our district, our cabinet is comprised of committees. I have 42 district lions on my district cabinet. Talk to lions to find out what they want in a newsletter. Plan. Think about your district governor newsletter vision. Communicate with your newsletter chairs. Find out their vision and plan action steps, or as we used to say when I was the educator or teaching, lesson plans. District governor advance plans. A budget line item for mileage reimbursement for your newsletter co-chairs if they're going out to visit clubs, and highlight them. Newsletter submission guidelines, privacy guidelines, and communicate these and work with your newsletter co-chairs. Number two, promoting the team. Promote the newsletter and article submissions. My personal preference is in person as I'm visiting clubs. Make every lion in your district and every club feel valued and appreciated from the time they join Lions as an important part of your district team family. For example, I send a welcome letter with a handwritten personal DG note. And I email or phone their sponsoring lion and thank them for sponsoring their new lion. And this team effort is applicable in all areas of our district activities. Also, I shared the district goals early on so that all the lions would understand and be part of our team. Use newsletter hooks, I call them. An example, when I'm visiting a club, here's a verbal sneak peek of an article in the next newsletter. The membership moment will be about ways a club can personalize the GMA for their own use. Be sure to check it out. Gentle monthly article photo deadline reminders. I put this on our private district Facebook wall. Encourage committee submissions in a way that leaves the decision and article content up to them. Example, November was Diabetes Awareness Month. So I contacted our district diabetes committee team and asked them how they felt about possibly submitting a newsletter article in that regard. And of course they did. Number 3, show your appreciation and praise for everyone submitting and everyone in your district team. And of course, your newsletter chairs. Number 4, enjoy. Because when you're functioning as a district team, that gives the district governor more time to spend on other district tasks. And now I'm going to turn it over to my amazing district newsletter co-chairs, Lions Billy and Lion Rose.
Okay, go ahead. Are we ready?
Yes.
Oh, okay, we're
She
on.
does the talking.
I do the talking. I'm Rose Jensen, and this is my sister, Billy Wood. And she got volunteered for this. So I'm gonna say for the newsletter, we use MailChimp. It's a marketing platform that Kathy Donahue found. Allows you to send an email and unlimited number of subscribers. Also allows you to add new subscribers easily. And for recipients to unsubscribe if they want to. We currently have 733 subscribers. Last month, the newsletter was looked at 367 times. Our information comes from several sources: cabinet members, clubs, Envision, 39W Share and Discuss. That's on Facebook. It's a closed one just for members. We're currently visiting and showcasing our smaller clubs. Over there, we ask if they're getting the newsletter. If they say they're not, we get email addresses and add them to our list. We also ask if they report their projects to district. And I'm surprised how many don't, but we also mention to them if they want to keep their insurance, they really should at least put in one project a year. Excuse me, a reminder was sent out every month, reminding them that the cutoff date is the 10th of the month. And we kind of skew that a little bit because it goes out the 15th, but we try to get them at least by the 12th. Several articles are reoccurring, such as district by district marketing. We have several of them that do it every year. And then we build up from there. We sometimes contact zone chairs for information. We are constantly talking about the newsletter to any line we come across because we're always looking for new articles. We get the clubs, we try to get them to send pictures. We allow them each 2. And then of course, if we visit the club, we put in a few more. If we haven't received anything from the author of one of our recurrent articles by the cutoff date, we usually email them or call them. Our steps for assembling a newsletter is to set up a separate email account. And when we receive the emails, we respond by always replying and letting them know we received it. We made a mistake one time and we had an issue. We learn as we go, but we put the emails in a folder for the month. And then when we start assembling the newsletter, we pull the articles out and when we're done, there should be nothing left in there. So that way we don't miss anything. When we complete our newsletter, we send it to our proofreader, Kathleen Penne. She used to be a school teacher and she's excellent with English. And on the 15th of the month, we send it out. And we also post it on 39W Share and Discuss. And we found out it was accessed 55 times last month. So the newsletter is getting out. I can't think of anything else. If there's any questions.
I'd like to add a couple of thoughts, if I may.
Please.
Number one, if you don't have something from a club, you can be touching base with every one of the club Facebook pages and downloading photos and just taking the copy right off the Facebook page and sticking it in the newsletter. And in that way, we don't have to have every club send in something. We can actually find things. We can look for them in My Lion as well, and then maybe use that as a focal point. if you have a mailing list, if you have an email that's not correct in your My LCI, you might want to pass it on to the district admin and get it fixed as well. Another thing is that as you're doing stuff for your newsletter, it's really the same as for your Facebook page. So we want to make sure that our logos and our branding are all the same. We've all got the updated logo. And I know when we say this, we can go find many out-of-date logos in many locations on our Facebook pages. So that's something that your newsletter team can be looking at and saying, hey, to clubs, hey, by the way, your logo's a little out of date. We know that the shirts and the hats may stay around for a while, but we ought not have it on our Facebook page. So they should all be connected in that way. Thank you. I interrupted you.
No, actually, we're finished. I can't think of anything else to say.
I just wanted to
Okay.
add, if anyone would like to see the welcome letter that we send out, you can contact me and I'd be happy to share it with you.
I will be sending out an example of that a newsletter with my email tomorrow with the video. And I would say it's not the only great newsletter in our GAT, but it's one of the greatest. And I really like it because it's informal. It's not Star Wars. It's kind of an email that's just sent out every month with great content. And content is really how you measure a newsletter. Is it fun? And there's articles about the GMA from the membership chair. There's from the service chair. It's not just about club stuff or just from the district governor. So our next group of speakers are from Utah, where I was lucky enough to just be able to go to a convention not too long ago. And we just did a survey on the Global Lions Forum this week, asking people about what their communications tools are. And people don't seem to think that conventions are communications tools. And yet it's the one we spend the most money on and the one we have the fewest Lions connected to, just by virtue of the way it is. And it's one of the greatest tools for communicating if we think of it as a communications tool, not just one direction from district governor team out, but also from Lions back and from Lions to Lions, because we can all talk amongst ourselves. So with that, I hand it over to Utah's Mike and Carol Eisenberg. Go for it.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Carol Eisenberg. This is my fantastic spouse and partner, Mike Eisenberg. We're in District 28U, Northern Utah, and we're going to be talking about how to create a fun, motivational, and educational convention and tying communication with it. So I'm going to, next slide, please.
Eric, next slide, please.
Sorry, my Zoom rebooted again. Could you please give me screen sharing capabilities?
Where are you? There you are.
Do you have that now, Eric?
Yeah, you're sharing it. That works.
Okay.
Okay. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and let Mike kick us off.
Okay. So we're going to give you 4 easy steps that you can emulate in your own respective districts. Eric mentioned during his portion, communicate, and then communicate some more. So as soon as we secured our convention dates, we blasted out our message, and we did it on social media. We did it through emails. We did it through phone calls. We did it through conversations, whether they wanted to hear it or not. We were going to tell them about the upcoming convention. And we also tried another medium that another district used in the past, and that was sending out a postcard, old school. So we send that out by snail mail to everybody that Richard mentioned, whoever had an email or a physical address in my LCI received a save the date postcard reminder. Then we utilized our district newsletter and we told them just how much fun they were gonna have, what was coming up. We gave them a tentative agenda so they could see what was going to be included. And we also encouraged them to attend the portions that they could. It didn't have to be the whole 2 days, but if they wanted to come to the Friday night social, that was fine. Or if they, you know, if time permitting, they could only hear a few of the sessions, that was fine as well. We just wanted to get them to the convention. So we encouraged participation. This was done at every opportunity we could take advantage of. That was when my district governor wife was visiting a club. That's when we communicated that, by the way, there's a district convention coming up. So take advantage of everything from your electronic media to also your physical interactions. You'll find you'll get a better response if you say, are you coming to that convention? You have them on the spot, right? And then lastly, we used LCI's membership portal to our advantage. A lot of people are familiar with the My Lion, so they create service projects, and you know you can send that out in mass mailings to anybody with an email. That can be done on the My Lion, but you can also record your meetings. So we took advantage of our convention by creating a My Convention meeting reminder, and that was sent out to everybody in the district with an email. And that's how we completed step 1. Over to my DG wife for step 2.
So step 2 is have a game plan. We create a convention timeline or an itinerary as such, and make sure that you share it with others. We created a outline timeline about 6 years ago, and we've been using it pretty much for every convention for the last 6 years, not just our district, but also our multi-district convention. And it's not set in stone. We just plug in at the very beginning the necessities, the mandatory items, you know, your financial reports, your delegating reminder, your voting information. And then we start plugging in around that. And make sure that your focus is on having fun. This isn't just a way for the district governor to get their message across and to get information out there. It is a celebration of your past year as being a Lion. It gives us all a chance to celebrate everything that we've not just accomplished, but all the hard work that we've put in for volunteering with others. So you want to have a focus on fun, avoid dead space, and be able to read the room. We usually have a group of activities, pre-planned videos, and just little things that we can throw in if we go ahead of time, or if we kind of go over time, then we can make it flexible enough to take things out. And remember, it's great to have a plan, but that plan has to be flexible, and flexibility is the key. So don't panic whether you go over or under, because that's the whole point of your convention timeline and having pre-planned activities there. So I'm going to pass it back to Mike.
So a great example of that. While we were having fun, one of our tail twisters, me, threw a cotton candy ball to Lion Richard, which immediately exploded as soon as he tried to catch it. So was it in the script? No, but it made for fun. And it just shows you got to be flexible, because you never know when you'll have an exploding cotton candy ball with a visiting guest. Okay, let's move on to step 3. Okay, so we didn't focus on meetings per se. I have to just move this real quick. We didn't focus on meetings. We tried to incorporate things that, how do we shake things up? That's step 3. How do we shake things up We don't want the same boring meetings and the same speakers that we've used recycled over and over and over. So we kicked off the convention with a tour, and that was open to our visiting international guests on Antelope Island. And that was a huge hit with the Lions who attended the convention. We had games programmed throughout the convention, and those were tied in with our the games were tied in with the convention theme, and they were incorporated on the table decorations, items in the swag bag, and in our tail twisting as well. And we carried that out throughout the entire convention. Our theme was a Mad Hatter's Ball on Friday night, and we encouraged members to show up with hats, a Mad Hat, or they were available for rent at a table. And so a lot of Lions not only wore that Friday night, but they wore their silly hats throughout the rest of the convention, which was a huge hit, but it totally confused people that showed up for Saturday only that missed out on the social on Friday. So they had to talk to their neighbors what the hats were all about. What we also did to shake things up is we capitalized on internal and external SMEs as subject matter experts versus, like I mentioned, recycling the same old speakers or the iBank or the foundation, etc. For instance, we brought in a keynote speaker from a local charity that many clubs had done service projects with to encourage other clubs to adopt that kind of project. We also brought in our own Lion Richard Stevenson to speak about topics that are on the global forum that he presents to get us thinking about how to do things differently. So that was great to have external guests who happen to be Lions telling our Lions what the latest initiatives were. Lastly, you have a captive audience. So when you hold your activities or training, we used to go into breakout sessions, and what that inevitably led to was you'd get 3 to 6 Lions in a room for a breakout session, and everybody, there was a mass gaggle out in the main plenary session, and they were just catching up on what was going on with each other. So what we did is we held these activities right there in the main plenary session, so everybody got their information at the same time. So those were just a few things that we included in that timeline that Carol mentioned to shake things up. Over to Carol for step 4.
So give members a reason to come. Make it more social, make it interactive, hands-on, fun. We want less speeches and hogging of the mic and the lectern. So we always, like Mike said, we always kick our conventions off with a tour or an activity like that that's open to everybody. We try and get anything that's free, so it's not having to add additional costs. We usually try and do an exciting service project that's hands-on, that everybody can be involved in. In our last district convention, we sanded and put mineral oil on little cars, toy cars for the Tiny Tim's organization. We've done hygiene kits, we've done food bags and different things like that. Pass along the latest developments. And this is the big thing about how a convention is a great communication tool, because you have that great area of captive audience of hopefully around 70, 80 to 100 people. So we were able to give them a health of the district. And it was a very honest conversation about how and where we stand as a district. And it was the first time that quite a few members were really aware of where we stood. And we talked a lot about the GMA. We talk about everything and anything that we want to get out there, not just in presentations, but just in general fellowship conversations. And most of all, make it memorable, because you want these members that are coming to your convention to go back to their clubs and say to their members, hey, you missed out. You really need to try and go to the next one, because it was informative, it was fun, and we enjoyed a lot of fellowship. And that's basically it, I think.
4 easy steps. That's all you got to do. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to
Us.
District 28U in Utah. Back
Thank
to you,
you.
Richard.
Thank you so much. And I have to say, I had such a good time at that convention, and there was so much packed into it. And just from the littlest thing to the biggest thing, it was so much fun. And I talked about it, and I'm still talking about it. And we have the task list from those folks, and they're available to help out anyone who'd like to be like to follow some of their footsteps. I'd like to introduce myself now, and I'd like to talk for just a few minutes about Facebook groups. A Facebook group, there's about 3 billion people in the world on Facebook. So whilst you probably have some Lions in your district who are not on Facebook, that's not a reason not to be engaging all of the ones that are. And 3 billion is a pretty big number. And you can get Facebook on your phone. So most of us, something like 97% of the United States is now covered with either cell phone or internet service. So it's readily available, it's free, and Facebook groups are different from Facebook pages. A Facebook page is something where you put stuff out for the public to see. A Facebook group is where a group of us are in together, and we are not allowing outsiders to see what we're doing. So it's just amongst ourselves. So it's an interactive tool. It's kind of like a bulletin board, if you will, where you can post pictures and conversations, and other Lions can do that as well. The president can say, by the way, we're thinking of having this project. What do you think? And I can wake up at 2 in the morning and I can respond. We don't have to have meetings. We can have conversations that roll 24/7, and we can put photos up and even make decisions on Facebook groups. So it's interactive, it's free. Only members will see what's going on, so we can have private conversations that don't involve outsiders. We can talk about projects, things that didn't work. We can put our financials there. We can put our membership list there. We can do an awful lot of things in that way. It's available. And we started 5 years ago, the Global Lions Forum, which probably most of you have heard of and maybe are a little tired of hearing of. We now have 17,000 Lions around the world on that Facebook group. And it's just a private Facebook group, just like the one we have in 21 South, or the one we have for our Tucson Cyber Lions Club. It just has 17,000 members instead of the 75 we have in our internal clubs page. So it's a great tool. And it fits in with your newsletter, your convention, and your emails as great ways to communicate. We have 16 minutes, and we would like to entertain questions from anyone who has questions. You can raise your hand and unmute yourself, or hit your hand raising button. Lion Chris, I know you have a question, or at least something you'd like to say about Marines.
Oh, no, I have plenty of things to say about Marines, but I don't think it's fair right here. No, hey, good information, guys. I appreciate it. It's certainly something that we all attempt to do. I have to say that my most important thing is what I believe Carol was talking about, flexibility. Flexibility. One of my personal sayings, and I hate to say it, but I have borrowed it from the Marines. My personal saying is Semper Gumby. You better be forever flexible. You can make all the plans you want to do, but Lions in general is something you better be ready to change the plan on a moment's notice.
Mike and Carol, you have your hand up.
So a couple of people sent us a private message and they said, well, what were you talking about? Well, Friday night, Carol's from England, so everybody's heard of Alice in Wonderland. So her convention theme was Lions in Wonderland. So there was a Mad Hatter social on Friday night. And so everybody not only wore their Mad Hat, but we took a page out of International President Brian Sheehan's book at the International Convention. They had horse racing where there was horses on sticks and the lines were with duct tape on the ground, and you rolled these inflatable dice. He had all sorts of games, and we've thought that's axe throwing, plastic axes, not real axes. And so we had horse racing, ring tosses. Around after we finished dinner, we had games going around the perimeter, so Lions were able to, have fun and laughs and play with folks they've never met before. So that was Mad Hatter Social. And then on Saturday, the Tail Twisters, myself, and name shall not be mentioned, but it rhymes with Council Chair Jim Knight. We were Tweedledee and Tweedledum, and we wore the full costumes, and we really played it up, and that was a big hit. It only cost us our pride and humility, right, Jim? So that was just something we did. Is we had the theme, we carried it throughout, we made it fun, and really when we ran into some dead space, that's when we did the tail twisting, but we didn't script it. Either the district governor, who was the Mad Hatter, she gave us the look or the nod or the wink, and that's when we went into just not being so caught up with the speeches or the presentations. And the thing we forgot to add is we limited them to 15 to 20 minutes, regardless of who the speaker was. So that way we can gauge whether we were behind or ahead of the program. And so we just did the tail twisting on the fly. So hopefully that, for the folks that asked me, that was the things we did to really shake things up at this convention. Anything else to add?
And yes, you do need to be flexible, because I did try to eliminate something at the very, very beginning of the opening session, plenary session, and I got caught out right there at the very beginning, and I had to think on the fly and call somebody up to do something for me. But you know what? You try and change something, you have to read your crowd. If it's not going to work, then just throw in what you pulled out, and it's okay. Just keep smiling, and nothing else. You give yourself a fine, and you say you do a donation to LCIF, and everybody forgives you.
Thank you. Lion Lynn, you have your hand up. Please unmute yourself.
Well, first I want to say my husband and I attended the Utah convention, and we had the best time ever. It was great fun, learned a lot of stuff, met a lot of cool people. So anyway, I'll say enough about that. Secondly, nobody ever seems to mention a website. We have a website? Does not anyone else use websites to impart information?
We didn't have enough time for websites or Facebook pages, and so we will save those for next time. District Governor Linda, unmute yourself and ask your question, please.
Mine's not so much a question as it is, excuse me, an observation. Last year, we had a cool time in Artesia, District 40 South. Their theme on the Friday night social was the Roaring 20s. So there were lots of baseball players. Babe Ruth was there. A few madams were there. We had some cool looking costumes. It was really a fun time. Here in Gallup this next year in May, since Lions started in Chicago, where Route 66 begins, and Route 66 goes right through Gallup, we are having Get Your Lions Kicks on Route 66 in the 60s. And everybody is dressing up, or we're having a costume contest. I'm going as Jerry Garcia. Hope y'all come.
Something I saw at both those conventions we just discussed was ways of keeping costs down by using imaginative different ideas. And in Artesia, Several of the venues were not hotels, and the meals were not hotel plated dinners, but were lots of fun and served by Lions. But my most memorable was the one that were served by, they were either the 4-H or the FFA, I'm not sure. And there was a donation made to the 4-Hers. These are kids, teenagers, to do the serving. And when the crowd heard about it, they said, that's not enough. We want to donate. And I think they doubled their money that night. And we all had such fun with these kids. They were like ants. There was 1 million of them rushing around serving, and it was so much fun. So the imagination of doing things differently and attempting to keep costs down, I think really pays off. Another thing that was interesting that we didn't talk about was voting online and sending out your foundation reports online prior to the meetings, so that you don't have to sit through it. It can be done online, and you can be voting with your phone. Just using imaginative ways and being able to register and pay for the convention online, using some technology. Thank you so much. Lion District Governor Richard and Susie, unmute and ask your question, please.
Is that a different way of stuffing the ballots, Richard? Anyway, talking about district multiple conventions, since Lion Linda is having theirs this year, our 2024 convention is going to come down here to Las Cruces. And I invite everybody to come down. We'll give you all the specifics once I get them. And hopefully we'll have a surprise speaker, which I'm working on. Might even be a Marine, you never know. But that's in the plans right now. It's in its infancy right now, and a lot of good ideas we heard tonight about that. We don't have a theme yet. I got some ideas, but we're already working on it. These kinds of things you got to work on real early, because there's a lot of, as you well know, Mike and Carol, that takes a lot to get it going for the entire state. And the big thing is to try to get, I hate to say this word all the time, back in the day, we had at least 300 people attend our state convention. Little New Mexico, okay? And hopefully we'll get something going that's going to be interesting and thinking out of the box, as our president says. So anyway, I just thought I'd mention that.
Thank you, Dutch. I have to say that I don't think there's anything more fun in the world than a fun convention. And I think it's, if you can attend a convention outside of your state and see how other folks are doing stuff, it's a great way to learn and pick up some new ideas, and maybe chat with some other folks about how things are done. And one of the things that we see in every successful thing that we're doing is the team. When you have a big team and you have people who are all pitching in, and it's not just one person trying to pull it all together, you're going to be so much more successful. And that's why I would encourage you. We're going to be having a GMA Global Membership Approach webinar on the 7th of December. You can register in the Global Alliance Forum. And we're also taking, that's about GMA for clubs, taking it down to the club level. But we're also doing it at the district governor level with our district governors elect. We did it last year with the district governors elect. So the GMA is a great source of tools to help you build teams to be able to tackle projects like this. We have another 5 minutes if anyone has any questions about anything at all. Perhaps you're curious about why people in the Air Force are so jealous of Marines.
That never occurred to me, ever.
I think that's backwards. The Air Force always takes the bus.
I don't know. Hold on just a second. Let me get.
Do you see how
The
eating
Army
crayons disturbs
leads
you?
everyone.
I hope this will come through on the camera, but I wanted to show, I really do believe in Semper Gumby. Let me see if I can get it to,
There you go.
it's hard to, oh geez, it's all over the place.
Gumby.
This
I
is
see it.
one of my clubs gave me a Gumby and she dressed it in a Marine uniform and then put Semper Gumby on it. Learn how to be flexible. It's very difficult, especially for somebody who's like an engineer. That's me.
I would also be remiss if I didn't say that one of the great joys of attending the Utah Convention is being with Miss Bonnie and all of her costumes and her enthusiasm and her great smile. What a joy that was. So if we have no more questions, I would like to take a group photo and we will be done. Everyone look at your camera. Don't look at your screen, but your camera. And when you're all ready, we'll just go. Are you ready? Big smile. I'm going to do another one on the next page. Here we go. Big smile. Okie dokie. Thank you so much. And I have to say, there is no greater job in Lions than the one I have serving you, the Lions of Gat Area 1H. Thank you so much for being Lions and being Lions leaders and making my life and my journey in Lions so joyful. Thank you so much. We'll see you. By the way, no meeting in December. We'll see you at the end of January.
Sounds like a good deal.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Holidays.
Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy Kwanzaa.
Oh, have a good one. See you, Mike. See you, Carol.
See you, Randy. Say hi to Peggy.
I will.
See ya.